say no because, you know.
Conspiracy.
Is there any intro you guys want to do or not?
This is the intro.
This is the intro. Love it.
Have you heard of Dragon?
Chasing the Dragon.
Dragon D's nuts on your chin. And we're going.
Speaking of, how was your weekend?
Oh boy, I don't know if you would call it eventful or non-eventful.
Well, elaborate on that.
Okay, so, girl slides in my DMs Saturday. Slides in.
Where does she come from? Where does she hail?
Where does she hail? Just literally, fuck it, Orange County. I don't know. That's what she says. So, well, long story short, she, what do you call it? Not ghost me. I get stood up. But essentially, she slides in. We start talking. She's like, "Oh, I'm from OC. Da da da." She goes, I go, "We should get together." And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "What are you doing tonight?" She had dinner with fam. I go, "Great." And she starts talking about going to the beach. I'm like, "Cool. Monday, beach at 1:00. Let's do it." She's like,
What day is this? This is Saturday?
This is Saturday. This is Saturday
Okay,
I'm talking.
okay.
So we plan for Monday. She goes, "I have class, so we should do later." Cool. She goes, "I'm out of 5. Okay. Well, around that time, I'll meet you at Bear Flag, and then we'll go down, we'll get some grub, go down the beach. I imagine you'd be hungry." She's like, "Yeah, cool. Sounds like a plan."
Very chivalrous.
Yeah, just trying to be flexible. So.
Well, I mean, you were offering to go get food too, and shit.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I knew I was gonna be hungry, so it's like, hey, here we go. So I text her that morning, Monday morning. This is Saturday. Sounds like a plan. Didn't talk to her. Monday morning, I text her, "I'll see you tonight," and I knew it was fucked when she didn't even open the text thread to like go, "Yeah, I'll see you there." So I'm like, okay.
100%. You send that text with there's no response by like, let's say 11.
Yeah, she's had a couple hours. Like, yeah. So I go, maybe she's just in class all day.
No.
Never checking her phone.
No. That's not girls.
But maybe.
Have you ever seen a girl not holding her cell phone?
No, never. 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 They have it at work, serving drinks. They got their phone in there.
Right.
So
100%.
So, but benefit of the doubt.
Of course.
Benefit of the doubt. Maybe, and back in my mind, I'm like, this is not going on.
There's like that like internal like emotional side of us, and then there's like the rational like brain side that's like watching that emotional side rationalize it.
For sure.
And he's like, "You're an idiot."
For sure. So I go, well, you know what? I'm still gonna be ready. I'm still gonna go down. Whatever. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna go enjoy my Monday.
So I go down to Bear Flag, text her, and sure enough, she doesn't even respond, and so she just ghosts me completely. I was like, did something come up? Whatever. Nothing. So I still go down. I still enjoy my dinner. Some oysters, get some nice swordfish burrito.
Nice.
It's beautiful.
I love oysters.
By my damn self.
It's like eating big boogers.
It was like, fair enough. They don't taste like boogers.
No.
You put a little lemon on there, you're good. So get this. What is it? Yesterday. This is now the day after. This is Tuesday. I'm on my Instagram during my break at work, and she puts a story up. I go, she hasn't even been active since we talked on Saturday. So I go, okay. So I check the story out. Her story is like some hoe shit. Her story is like I moan so loud when I have sex that the whole house is gonna know that your dick is good. And so I just messaged her back. I go, I guess you'll never know. and she responds, wow. Like, it took that for you to fucking just respond like a normal human being?
Yeah, on some hoe shit. She'll respond to some hoe shit.
Blocked. Out. Done. Because some guys probably would have been like, you know,
Yeah.
oh, well, you want to still find out?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, dude. Maybe the past me, but
For sure.
You gotta have some
like when I was
dignity
24,
out here, man.
when I was 24, I totally would have like ended up taking like another shot at that, potentially closing it, having some fun, and then like dipping out because she didn't respect me enough in the first place. But now I'm like, why am I even gonna waste all my time?
You know what? If she was hot enough, I might have. But even so, she's probably
That's true too.
She was like, if she was like
a,
well, first of all,
yeah.
this is something I feel is important to break down on the show because
We live in California.
no, it's important to me.
Oh,
My
I thought you were
rating
somewhere else.
rating scale. I don't.
Oh yeah, no, you're going in the same place I think you are. We live in California.
Well, it's yes. Now that's just relative to healthy, but the number of the scale, I don't use 10. If we were using a 10 scale, I'd say she's probably an 8.
Why don't you use 10?
Because it's two. What's the difference between an 8 and a 9? What's the difference between a 9 and a 10?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
two.
really know.
It's two. I didn't make this up, by the way. I got this from Patrice O'Neill. So, the scale is a 30 scale. Okay, 0 to 10. Ugly chicks. This could also, if women wanted to use this for men, you could also use this for men. But I think men have a different kind of category of what makes them attractive anyway. But anyway, 0 to 10. Ugly chicks. 11 to 20 is all right chicks. 21 to 30 is the hot chicks. Okay? Then within each bracket, you can now go, you have a little more flexibility to kind of get a little bit more accurate representation of just how hot they really are. Like
Yes.
like
This is just too confusing for me.
it's not that confusing. It's not that confusing.
I'm just looking for like a solid
Like
8.
Angelina
with
Jolie.
a nice personality.
Let's take
She's gonna be a good mother.
Well, look, Angelina Jolie. Okay, 20. Because she's like as hot as an alright chick can be. Good face,
I
but
don't know. She's got a nice bone structure, right?
yeah, but she's got a good face, but it's like
20 seems a little low for me to call Angelina Jolie at 20.
that might be
Seems a little low.
it's a subjective thing, you know.
I
Now
guess.
this was Patrice's, this was his example, and I agree with it because I do
Okay.
go, well, you know, what else is she bringing to the table, right? So, but you can, you know, plug anybody in. So I would say that this girl was probably like a 19 or a 20. Like she was just like a pretty hot, all right chick. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to have some fucking dignity on this one and just next. So
Like the MTV show. Next!
yeah. Oh, so that was that. Then the other thing that happened, it was a rough weekend for me, dude. Sunday, I was inspired by this girl from Saturday. Sunday, I went to the beach myself. I was going to invite her, but I was like,
I saw you
just wait-
post that on your story.
Just wait for tomorrow. Like, whatever, you know, I don't. When he said a date, I just like, that's the date.
You think maybe that's what made her upset? She, in her brain, like, made some, like, fucking weird scenario.
I can almost guarantee you that she did not even see my story. So yeah. I don't think that would
Fair
be.
enough.
I don't think that would. Why would you cancel a date? Like,
I don't-
you went to the beach the day before we were supposed to go. Like,
I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think that some women our age aren't fully, like, they don't really know exactly what they're looking for other than, like, attention.
that's pretty much what they all look for. Yeah.
And, for her, I think maybe the 24-hour gap was like, no. Like, if you would have texted her the night before, we still on for tomorrow, maybe would have gotten the response you were looking for. But I don't know. I'm just speculating. They're weird. They're weird. One girl would like look at the night text and be like, "Oh, gross, how needy," and then not talk to you the next day. The other girl is gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's a fucking dick." And so this is where I'm like, those are just girls that are looking for attention, and they're not even looking to be closed in the first place. So you want to like look for the girls that are like there to play. It's like going to like that's like a girl going to the casino and she doesn't want to bet any of her chips. She just wants all the like dealers to try to like woo her to the table, and drink the free drinks.
Yeah. At that point, you're like, okay, I don't even, you know.
Yeah, you're just like, no,
because then you can overthink.
Get off my table. Get off my table.
Just go, dude. Like, just go. Like, it's all good, you know.
But then they'll go and they'll put it all on like red.
But this is all this
and
like
play roulette somewhere else.
Well,
you know what I mean?
let me explain my. So I'm at the beach. Okay, so I go by myself, and I always do I always just kind of walk from like tower to tower, you know, like 6th to 10th or whatever.
Gotcha.
So I'm walking, coming back, my last one, and beautiful girl, little blonde, reading. I'm like, dude, reading at the beach.
She's going through some shit.
Yeah, legit. Well, like I like the style, but yeah, like also like who hurt you, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Let me confirm.
Or who did you hurt and feel guilty about?
Here's the deal. It's like maybe, and I was wrong. Maybe that's just her thing. Maybe that's just her style. So I go, I'm gonna say hi. There's no way, you know. And so I see her packing up to leave. And I'm leaving. Now, this has worked before for me, by the way. On the way out, going, hey, let's go get some food, like whatever, you know. Couple times. So I run up. Now, this starts bad, right? This is really bad because I'm coming from like the wet sand up. And you know how it's like, okay, water, wet sand. Then there's always like a lip up to the loose, like the dry sand,
where like the waves aren't crashing.
Yeah, and like that sand is like really loose. You like I'll slide, I'll like power slide down it, you know, if I'm going down in the water. Well, she's pretty close to the edge. I'd say she's probably 15 feet like from like the where it drops off to the wet sand. And so I'm walking. I'm like, do I do it? Like I didn't really.
Yeah, you're like trying to convince yourself.
Like no, because it's like intuitively. I feel like I know if it's gonna work or not. You know, like there's something that tells you.
In my experience, that's like kind of bullshit though.
Well,
like
that's
the ones that I think are gonna work don't, and then the ones I don't think are gonna work do.
But that's why you got to find out, right? Because it could just be your goofy thing, you know. So I'm like, but like I'm like 9 out of 10 times I'm correct on if like it's gonna succeed or not. But
I feel like it's Russian roulette for me.
Yeah, well, it's like. But you got to find out, right? And I'm like, I would hate. What if I go home, and like, that would have worked. You know, I would have a date with her.
Well, yeah, you're gonna wonder if you didn't do it. Yeah,
I would, and it would just eat me. So
sit there
I just don't like to let it go anymore. You know, and
totally, I've had that happen enough times to where I just shoot it right.
So I'm like, before I'm about to pass her, I'm like, no, I'm doing it. So I make this like hard turn. Right? Like I gotta do it. And it's not bad until I start climbing up the dry thing and I just like I don't eat shit, but dude, my foot goes down the whole thing. And so I'm like stumbling at her, like falling at her, like, oh shit. Gather my balance. Luckily, she's like packing her bag, so like I don't think she like totally saw it, but I think she like there's no way you. Yeah. I'm a big dude. Like you can't like not see me like fucking running at you, you know, falling down. So I'm like, so I just go up. Hey, excuse me, dude. I've never been rejected this hard in my life, dude. I've never just been sent on my way. I walk up and go, hey, excuse me. And she just looks up at me and she goes, I'm leaving. Like, I can see that. yes, I can see that. You're packing your stuff. I know. And so she's just like, you know, like look at me like what an idiot, you know? So I'm like, hey, I just, you know, you're beautiful. I just wanted to say hi. Like, I gotta say hi to a pretty girl when I see her at the beach. And she's like, oh yeah, thanks, you know, like totally like whatever.
Oh, I flip immediate. I take 180 degrees. I go to immediate. Immediate like smart ass banter when that happens.
And
like,
you
she
have
goes,
to.
I'm leaving. I go, oh, that's a funny way to introduce yourself to somebody.
Yeah, no, and you're totally right.
That's like
You're totally
immediately
right.
where I go.
It was because you know what, like, and I do if it's like a bratty thing. You know, which I love. Like, if I get a bratty girl, it's like,
oh, I'm not trying to be
favorite.
mean. I just am having fun.
No,
at that point,
I know.
You know,
but dude, like, and I'm telling you that I'm with you, because I'll do that too. But like oh, social interaction was like not the thing you were looking for today, or like something like that. You know,
yeah.
like.
Well,
but it was so bitchy. It was so.
Like
it was, but it was like so much. It was so like. It was like just fuck you, dude. Like she might as well have said fuck you. Like literally, you know. Just I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think maybe
Psycho.
I think maybe being like a borderline looking homeless dude that's 5'9", I just go in with expecting some of that. So, and then the mortgage banker in me almost wants it. It's like the cold calling part of me.
Oh yeah, you like get
almost
kind
of wants some
overcome
of that, a little bit of that resistance.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that just is what makes me.
No, I'm telling you, I love that too, because that can be like if it's like because girls will do it like flirty, almost like bratty.
That's
like,
what
they're
I
like,
mean.
oh yeah,
yeah.
you like
they
you
almost
think
want you to overcome it.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. They like, oh, you think you can get me? And they'll like, but it was not that. Like I'm pretty well versed in this. It was like
if you just
fuck off.
Fun approach.
So I go, so I go, well, I know, but I'm like looking at her like, are you serious? I literally was just like speechless. I'm like looking at her like, are you really being this big of a bitch? And she's like, can I help you? And normally, and this has worked every time for me. Normally when a girl goes, can I help you? I go, I'm sure you can. And they laugh and it breaks. But I just like literally was so... I was so flabbergasted.
I've never had a girl say to me, can I help you?
Yeah.
That just shows how much height helps.
Literally, they go, can I help you? I say, I'm sure you could. And it's literally done right there. Like the whole thing, signed, sealed, delivered. So leaving this girl, I'm like, well, do you have an Instagram or anything? Like, you know, I'm like, just what, you know, at this point, I'm like just trying to salvage the situation. I go, you got Instagram? She goes, don't worry about it. I go,
solid.
You have a great rest of your day. Walk away. I have never been sent packing like that in my life.
I haven't cold opened for a while, just because I haven't really gone out much. Like, for like the last couple.
It's like a sport for me. It's like.
Yeah, well, I just haven't done it for a while, but it sounds so fun, dude.
It's super fun. You gotta
get back out.
You gotta come with me. It's
dude,
like
literally.
It's the life of an extrovert, dude. I just like it.
Well, yeah, dude. Like I've been going actually a little bit to Wayfair here and there.
It bugs me sometimes, like how like you don't have to be like everywhere, you know. Like, and I'm not even everywhere.
It's not about like that.
But it's like, you know, it's weird.
It's about enjoying the conversations that come to you.
Yeah. Well, what actually really bothers me is not the fact that people don't talk to people they don't know. It's like, what really gets me is like, if I've already kind of like seen you at a place, like at a gym or a restaurant that we frequent, like I've seen you and like, I've even said hi, you know, like even just like, hey, like I am acknowledging that you fucking exist. You know, and then like to see people again, and then they like don't act like they've seen you before. That's kind of what gets me. But that's kind of the thing that makes me like.
Well, everybody thinks they're a celebrity now.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like,
I don't know if it's that, but I just feel like people are like so, like, wrapped up in. Like, oh, I have to like talk to you digitally, or I have to like text you, or I have to like. But it's just like people forgot that like we're like in each other's space. You know, it's like, you know, if you're at a restaurant or something, obviously, it's, you know, you don't go up to every table and be like, oh hey, it's like, but there's those moments where you could like be social and people
Totally.
just are like,
Well, at a gym, I don't think. I think most people at a gym are like in their most vulnerable headspace typically.
that's fair. That's
And
fair.
like I actually think like a gym is a terrible place to approach women personally. I know like people do have success and like, you know, obviously you're going to like if you want to find a certain type of woman, like that's probably a good place to like see that woman, right? But in my experience, just like a gym is like women are like kind of like in a very vulnerable headspace when
Yeah,
they're at a
for
gym.
sure.
And like in my experience, it's just not really like the place to like approach them unless
Yeah.
like they're like eye fucking the shit out of you.
The gym is just timing. Even if they are, it's like
Even if they are, yeah.
even if they are,
Talk
it's
to you
like
tomorrow when I see you.
it's like it's.
If you're eye fucking me again.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Yeah, dude. If you eye fuck me twice in 48 hours, then I'll talk
pretty
to
much
you.
like for me, it's like if if they're doing something that's not like it kind of is like about like approach angle, right? And also like
Oh, totally. That's a big part of it.
that's why the gyms and okay, two things. Like the actual dynamics of like the gym and how you actually have to like approach women to begin with is like tough because if they're like in the corner doing like bicep curls, what are you gonna go like smush them in a corner and be like, hey, what's up?
Nothing you can do.
it's
Nothing
like,
you can do that
no,
looks,
like-
nothing that you can do that the optics are good. Like,
No.
is the way I look at it a lot of it.
But
time.
usually if they're leaving, and they're like kind of walking by me and it's not to the point where I have to like run like to go like stop them. If they're like walking by my machine, I'll just make a comment or something because they usually have headphones in.
I think the realistic thing is if a girl likes you at a gym, she'll like set up near you.
Yeah, well, you'll
Right?
you'll
Like
know.
you'll know.
You know
Like,
when
it'll be
women like
fucking
you. I mean,
obvious,
you're gonna
kind
get
of.
you're gonna get
I just
you're gonna get some
I don't think
eyes,
it's the
you're gonna
place
get
to
some-
cold approach. Is all I'm saying. Personally.
No, you gotta be. No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not like cold approach time at the gym. That's definitely like, hey, I see you here all the time. You need to be like, you need to have like, see them all the time and like even like wave at them like
But
slowly.
why? Why?
If you like them, why wouldn't you begin engaging? Why wouldn't you begin
in
like?
my mind, because they're completely unapproachable in this scenario right now. There's nothing optically that's going to.
I would
make
disagree
me
because
look-
I would disagree because it's worked for me in the past, but it's always like, it's not every hot girl. I mean, especially where I'm going, it's like, man, you can't like, they're literally everywhere. I mean, there's an option everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, but even then, it's like I play it really cool, like at the gym, just because. Well, first, women want to feel like you're good with women. They want to feel like you have a lot of options. They want to feel like, your experience. They don't want to like literally see you talking to every single one. So if you're like the gym hoe, they all know you're not getting any.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at is like I think maybe you don't, right? But if someone's like listening to this conversation, they could take away like, oh, I should be like saying like, oh, what's up, chica? Like to like every chick that they're seeing, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's not
so,
that's
like-
not the takeaway.
Right.
The takeaway is if I don't necessarily even think in terms of like, a lot of guys will say like, choosing signals. Now that's because like when a girl likes you, like she's gonna invite you to talk to her, right? But
Yeah, like there's this idea of like chivalry that I think is like a little bit construed because like chivalry isn't like the man's idea back then. It was like
Right.
always the woman's idea, and
Yep.
they would trick the man into thinking like it was actually their idea. For instance, like a girl would drop like her pin.
right.
And then the guy would see her drop it, and he'd pick it up, and then he'd like find a way to like give it to her.
She would give
she
him,
gave him the
excuse
opportunity.
and the opportunity.
Right.
Right. So that's like what that's what you would call like choosing signals,
Yeah, and
right?
that-
Like,
I'm a big proponent of that,
well, I think that if you
especially
get them,
in like 2022.
I think that if you get them,
Yeah.
then like, well, hey,
I think it's
that's-
about developing yourself in a way that you'll get more
I know-
opportunities like that.
For sure.
you know?
I still don't think that it's absolutely necessary, right? Because like you said, like even a girl at the gym who like, there's a couple I can think of. I won't name names, but like I'm like, dude, I like this girl not just because she's hot. Like I see the way she's working out. I see the way she's like like I see her confidence. I see the way she's like, I'm like, I would hang out. I want to. Not every hot girl. The gym is like,
No, I
yeah,
get
she's
you what you
hot.
mean.
Like
Yeah,
you can
I understand what you mean.
there's objectively like, yeah, she's like, you know, it's like she's
she
obviously
has a
very hot.
cadence to her that you're attracted to.
But I'm like, dude, I like that, you know. But maybe, and this is what I'm saying is like, usually, it's like, well, the girl that I like is probably gonna be like head down, like busting her ass. She's probably not gonna be worried about like, oh, am I fluttering my eyes at that guy? Like, so you don't have her attention. But that's not to say that she wouldn't like you if you just presented an opportunity like for her to talk to you, right? And then go, oh, whoa, you know, like,
yeah, that's fair.
like all the time. It's never like if it's at the gym, it's I've seen her multiple times. We seem to kind of be on the same schedule. Like I go at night, right? I've been doing night shift. You kind of see like, you know, not every night, but more times than not, like the same kind of crew is there.
I know what you mean.
So it's like, I've seen you there, you know, then after a couple times of just like seeing you around, I don't even, whatever. Then after like, you know, cause she sees, you know, they see.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. This is like over the course of like several months.
This is the long
that.
play. The gym is the long play. Like if you're out of town,
That's the point.
that's what I'm saying.
Right,
That's my thing of the gym. That's why the gym's different, right? Because
right.
there's no need to rush. If I'm out of town, you know, if we're in Argentina, you know, the story of the girl from the Italian restaurant we would go to when we were in Argentina, we're there for like another day. Like, so I like the waitress. I literally ran into the, like, and all the guys came with me, literally ran into the store. I was like, hey, we're literally leaving. Like, give me your number. Like, let's hang out. Like, there's no time.
Right.
There's no time. So it's a different thing. I'm also not going to
Totally.
be there. But if I know,
Yeah.
like, oh, you're on night schedule, I'm on night schedule, I'm gonna slowly introduce myself. And it's not even like the introduction, right? It's like you walk by, you're like, hey, like, you know, whatever, you know. And sometimes it's like, hey, I see her all the time. What's your name? Oh, Stephanie. Oh, great, Stephanie. Brandon, nice to meet you. I'll see you later. Enjoy your workout. Like, it's just the slow boom. And then she's stretching next to your bag when you come back. And you go, Steph, what's up?
Right.
Like, how's your workout or whatever?
Yes,
And then it's like,
right.
oh, now we just talked for 20 minutes. Now I got her
Right.
number. Like,
No, I got
oh,
you.
coffee date, gym date, you know, whatever. So, yeah, the gym's an interesting place. It's like you got to kind of be more methodical with like how you do it, you know?
Yeah.
Plus, it's like, dude, just like work out. Like you working out is more attractive than you
and
like going
yeah,
around.
that's the thing I think is like a really big part too. Is like, what are you here for?
For sure.
And, like girls can smell that shit. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I mean, like,
Dude, because I've had this both ways in my past, where like I would adapt my workout when I was younger. I would like adapt my workout to like a girl that was like just there, and it's like
they can smell that shit.
they can just smell like the neediness, like
Yeah,
they, you know,
that's
it's
what I
not
mean,
like
yeah.
it's not like they know that like, oh, he adapted his workout, but they can just smell on you. Or as like opposed to, I mean, this literally just worked like a couple weeks ago. Like, I mean, I was doing lat pull downs. That was part of my back day. She was doing some like cable kick stuff. I went over there like I was supposed to be there, and she ended up in the middle of her set, she would take her stuff off and start talking to me, because I was where I was supposed to be. I was where I said I was going to be, and I was doing it, and I was present. I wasn't there with a motive. I was glad that she was
Right.
next to me. I was glad she was talking to me, and I was reciprocating in between the sets.
Yeah.
You know, and it just like it was boom, like instant attraction. You know,
The way I look at it is, all right. Let me rewind a little bit. I used to have a thought, like the thought process of like men and women couldn't be friends, right? Like I actually truly like believed, like it was basically impossible to have like friendships with women because like you're gonna want to fuck them, right? Like that's
Right. I
That's
have
like,
a nuanced thing on this, but keep going.
and that's what I've come to learn is like it's much more nuanced than that. You can like be sexually attracted in a way to somebody and still like intellectually be like, I know that having sex with this person would be bad for our dynamic as a friendship and like all these things too, right? And like you can be friends with that person. I've actually come to learn, right? And I think it was just because I was young and like maybe more horny than I am now in that sense, right? And so like I have a more nuanced view on that of almost turning 30. And when I go to these places like the gym, for instance, I am creating friendships. I'm not looking for like sexual partners now, right? Mm-hmm. And so like that's the big difference for me. Now, is that to say that like friendships never develop into anything else? No, but you know, ideally eventually one will, and like that's how you hear about like kind of like marriages that last a long time and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like you always hear like we were friends for like 6 years. Yeah. And like stuff like that. So I'm kind of like leaning more towards that process in the dating way.
That definitely exists. I mean,
the last 2 years.
I guess for me, like, I think that because obviously, you know, I work with beautiful women, right? There's always that like that tension there.
Totally.
There's a little bit of a difference. Like it's like, okay, now we're like work. You know,
yeah,
like,
and there's
like,
that in the
like
mortgage
coworkers.
industry too, because there's a lot of beautiful women in the mortgage industry.
Right. I kind of feel like, you know, I mean, I'm on board with you. I guess I haven't really articulated it, I suppose. I mean, there's definitely those times where it's like, okay, I don't think like I should do this, you know.
Totally.
But there are definitely occasions where I've been like friends with girls. Yeah. And it's like we've hooked up. And it's like it's literally made the fabric of a relationship better, if you can believe it.
I don't.
And well, I mean, I have a couple examples, right? So it's like,
let's see if I can poke some holes in these examples.
Well, I'm not really gonna name names.
Don't name names, but like, well, let's hear some, and then I'll ask you some questions maybe. Because I think this is an interesting topic. Like, I had an ex-girlfriend, right? And she was one of those girls that had a lot of guy friends. And we used to fight relatively often about this because like she just like would go dark sometimes. And like, you know, like nothing would happen,
that's
but like
your girlfriend.
We talk about it, right?
This is your girlfriend. This is
my ex-girlfriend, yeah.
Right.
And she would say, for instance, like, "Oh, he's just a friend." I'd be like, "Oh, okay. Text him. I want to cheat on my boyfriend with you."
Yeah.
And let's see what his response is right now.
Right. Well,
if he's just a friend.
That's the thing. Is if you're talking about from your stance as a guy, friend zoning a girl, right? That's kind of one thing. That's another topic. But if you're talking about, you know,
a girlfriend,
do I really want my girlfriend, you know, who I'm feeling like, you know, I mean, we feel possessive over girls. It's like literally a thing. Like, girls don't want to be objectified, and it's like it's just nature.
Totally.
You know, like you're ours. That's like why we call you our woman.
Yeah,
and so it's like because I've thought about this too, right? Because you can get into the oh well, I don't know. It's like your own body and da 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 da. But it's like, dude, you really like let yourself be honest with yourself, and it's like, do I want my woman who I'm claiming to be my woman? And I'm very careful to be like.
Let's just put it this way: it's not even about possession. Nothing's more embarrassing for a man. There's no more embarrassing thing that you can go through than finding out your girl has been sleeping with everyone behind your back.
For sure.
And then
For sure.
everybody knew about it but you.
But then this is
That's
where
about the most embarrassing thing.
this is where
through.
this is where the women can't be friends with men thing comes in. It's not because like you can't like friend zone a girl that you might work with because it's like this would just be, you know, better if we didn't, or like I feel like something would get convoluted, you know. This is like, this is different. This is saying like, if you're gonna be my woman, like you don't get to have guy friends because I know what I would want to be doing if I were them. Like you're hot. Like like if I was on the outside looking in, I want to get in.
I've been that guy, and I've been
For
this
sure.
guy before. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like
And
I know what that guy's thinking because I've been him at one point in my life.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's that.
Same.
Going back to like what you were saying about like it developing the friendship in like a more like a emotional way, or like I think I have a hard time believing that because for me, like sex is a very like emotional thing. Like I would say like I treat sex almost more like a woman does than like the typical man does almost. Like I feel bonded to people that I have sex with, and
Fair.
then like I get like kind of possessive over them and like
Sure.
right? So I have a difficulty believing that. I guess there maybe could be like a emotionally like a masculine woman that like you could potentially. I just don't.
A
I have a hard time
masculine woman
believing
that
I have a hard time believing it because sex is like literally created to like kind of pair bond you, and like there's studies about like, you know,
yeah, you definitely.
the
I mean, like,
chemicals that your brain
I mean,
releases and stuff
you
like
think
that.
about it. I mean, like, you know, a woman is literally letting you inside of her, right?
Right.
Like, you're literally in them. So, and then they're emotional creatures to begin with. Like, there's no
Right.
way that there's not going to be,
Right.
like, some tie
So
to you.
my theory is somebody always gets burned. Maybe not both people, but somebody. One person always gets burned at the end.
It's you. Well, yeah, and in the general sense, it's always, you know, it's the women because men can go like, you know, a lot of the times.
I would say more often than not.
Well, because of a lot of the times, for most of us, it's almost just like performance, you know, like even sometimes with like your girlfriend or your wife or like your significant. Sometimes it's not even like. Sometimes it's just like, let's just fuck hard, you know, like let's just bang it out. Like it's like not even it's not even always like super sensual, you know.
Yeah.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like for guys, it can just be like I just like, you know, like performing, like
Yeah.
and feeling like, you know, super powerful. It's just it's, you know, maybe it's an ego thing, right? Not to say that. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm capable of both, you know, and I try to, for me personally, like that is a big part for me. Like I enjoy that like domination, but then I also realize that like I just always
everybody
realize
does.
the connection's gonna happen.
I think for me, like there's a lot of things that I've looked at societally, and there's problems in society right now, and sex is like a big. I think like birth control, in particular, is like the single invention that's like changed the landscape of society the greatest. People will say
Yeah.
it's the cell phone, but like I think by far it was birth control.
Yeah.
And as a man that used to have a lot of sex in my 20s with like strangers, I basically decided after my most recent breakup and during COVID and like over the last 2 years to not partake in that ecosystem anymore because it is part of what's like crippling the society, right? And like you know, there's an argument to be had that like just take what you can because like you can, and there's like an argument to be made that like it was more fun when I was doing that, but like I guess I'm like reverse engineering like what is it that I want, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I want a family, I want a wife that's going to be stable to help me raise that family,
Mm-hmm.
are the women that I was meeting when I was doing those things that type of woman? No, not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what actions do I need to do to attract the type of woman? And it's weird, right?
For sure.
And it's hard for me because I'm like less attracted to like stable women. It seems like
Yeah, I don't.
I have a hard time like. I don't know if it's because I feel like I don't deserve them or if it's like
You know
what it is exactly.
You know what's
but
funny? You know what's funny is I don't find that I'm any less attracted to stable women. I feel
I think I'm intimidated by them.
that could be.
Yeah.
That could be. For me, I like I don't know how to phrase this the right way that would like do it justice. Like most women that I'm just like sexually attracted to, that I'm just like, hey, like this would be fun. I like your energy. I think we have some fun. It's like wrestling with a guy for me. Like it's like that same. It's that same energy. I know it
No, I know
sounds
what
like
you
kind of
mean. I know
weird,
what
but
you
like
mean. I know what you
you know what I mean. It's like it's the tussle. It's
It's rough and tumble play.
it's like it's like sticking side control, hitting them out, getting a little head on. Like it's the same like type of thing like that I enjoy energetically, like with women and sex. But when I get a chick that's stable, right, or like, oh man, like I could like just see how good of a mom she would be to my children. All of a sudden, all of my game goes out the window. Everything that I have, every tool that I have that like gets me women, I don't use.
That's how I am.
And I literally become like I do things that literally like turn them. I literally like.
Yeah, I
there's
turn into,
one.
I
there's
almost,
one
I almost
girl.
turn more beta. Like I like just start.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I
Like,
hear you.
I just
I've
don't
been,
do
I've
the
been there.
things that.
There's literally one girl in particular, and I'm not gonna say she probably would know who it is if she ever saw this. But it's like all the stuff that is like masculine that like literally, like they cannot evade. Pulls them in every time, and I'm good at doing that. I don't do it with the winners. I'm literally like, who hurt you? Like I literally like I now become like this like. I almost want to be like I can almost feel because
You feel yourself white.
every beautiful every beautiful woman is like secretly lonely, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean like beautiful, not just like hot. Like I mean like she looks nice, she is nice, she's got a great soul, like the whole thing. She would be a great mom, a great wife. They have this like sadness.
I think it's just
in them.
people. I think it's just people. Like,
For the most part, yeah. But there's something about when I guess it might just be a more subjective thing. Like when I am like, yo, like that's crazy. Like this is a great woman. Like I now want to tap into that, which is horrible, right? Like how, especially if I'm already, that's different if like you get with a girl, you know, you dating and and it's like, you know, and you're now established and she's also chosen you and like, you know, it's like, it's an established thing.
Yeah.
There's a relationship going on, you know, that you both have communicated and you know, like, you know, you're either, you know, just whatever, you know, then it's like, hey, like tell me like more. Like I want to help. I want to like heal them, right? Like it's kind of white knighting, but it's like it's not quite that. It's not like
heal them from what? That's not the same woman I'm talking about. Then I feel like
no. No, but it is. It has nothing to do with the woman. It has everything to do with like my goofy approach to like how I become very soft, like around that.
Yeah,
as opposed to like continue like.
I would say for me, like when I have a lot of success in dating, like I'm just spraying from the hip, right? Just spraying.
Yeah,
just,
literally.
Right? And then like when I like meet these like high quality, mentally stable women, I like line up the shot so much.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
And then
It's
the
easy to
the
overthink.
deer gets away.
It's easy.
And I'm just
it's,
like lining it up too much.
Yeah.
I never pull the trigger.
No, I hear you on that. I hear you.
And like I just overanalyze and don't deliver, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No, I feel that.
It's funny. It's remember like I posted that meme the other day and it was like why won't you just send me like a good woman? And it was the Jesus on the other side and he was like, dude, I literally am trying, but you keep saying that you're on your grind set
Yeah.
and married to the gym.
Married to the grind.
And that's like literally me, I
Yeah.
feel like. You
No,
know?
that's what. Oh, I think that was part of what I forgot. That's kind of like, that's a cop out, right? Like that's.
Oh, it's totally a
that
cop
was
out.
That's
That's
what,
where I am though.
When I blanked 20
I'm
minutes ago,
stuck in the
that's
cop-out.
when I blanked 20 minutes ago. That's what that's what I would
Uh-huh.
say. Like, you can go like, oh well, like you can complain about it. That's literally what I was thinking. It was like you can like, oh like this is what I want, and then as soon as the opportunity comes, like oh well, oh I'm just doing this because I'm only at the gym because I'm like giving gratitude to like the Most High, and I'm like becoming the most godly. It's like, yo, I literally put that girl on the pull down machine right next to you, like so you could fucking talk to her, and you bitched out, like, what, So it's
Totally.
like, so
100%.
that's why
It's like that girl likes you and wants you to talk to her, and you're just
like
like
she's not doing downward dog like
for the
on
stretch,
the turf area
for the actual
because her lower back is tight.
because her lower back is tight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Totally. And like that's where I kind of am. I feel like is like I'm a little bit, and I've realized it now for like the last like 3 months, and I think for me like I really care about the people that I let into my life. And it's hard for me to move on past it totally. And so it's just taking some time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just taking some time.
I feel that. I don't think that like a total like I mean, you can't like force yourself to be like desiring things, because then that just becomes, that's like the like desiring to not desire is a desire, so you can't like, another thing Patrice would say is like, you can't force Mojo, like you can't force yourself to like be wanting things that you don't,
Totally.
you.
And you can want things, but you can not want to do the things that are required to get that thing, and you're just not ready for the thing. And that's kind of like where
That's
for
true.
a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that's the response, right? Is like,
you have to want something for a while before you do the work for it.
Right. Well, and this is my response to like, if you're going, okay, I want a good wife, but like I'm not approaching any women. It's like, well, your wife is literally within the group of women that you're approaching. Like you're not like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but I mean, I only had it one time in my life, like, and that's really because we were drunk in college, where a girl like came up to me and like grabbed my wrist and like pulled me over to her and her friends, like,
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
it's
very
like that.
often.
It's
just
like,
doesn't really
and it
happen.
it didn't,
It just doesn't really happen.
it doesn't have like, especially it's like,
And again, like those are not ideally usually
but
the ones that you're looking for, anyways. And
And she was great. I kind
Totally.
of fucked that one up anyway. Like anyway, that happened.
do you believe in like the one?
No,
Of course not. It's just such a silly
no.
concept.
You know what I believe? This is what I believe. There's 4 billion women on Earth. Okay, 1% of that 4 billion are women that are in your age range that you would be attracted to. Okay, that's 40 million. Okay, of the 40 million, 1% of the ones that you're really attracted to are also like attracted to you. Okay, so now we're talking 400,000. So there's 400,000 women that you're compatible with, right? Like you like them, they like you, you got a shot. Okay, of 1% of those 400,000 are single, ready to mingle. Like they're like you go on a date tomorrow and like hit it off. It's 4,000. That's 4,000 women that are like, you can walk by today. That's an arena full of women that are out there waiting for you to say hi. Like that would work, you know? And so it's like, no, that's what I believe, because
that's numbers even small, man. I think there's way more than that.
But that's what I'm saying. Well, but
I'd say maybe those are the ones that like.
But also
you
think
can,
about
like, raise a family with.
But also, yeah, probably. You know, but also that number's that number's relatively the same, but the people that it represents are different every day. One person gets a relationship, and the next one's single. You know,
I
like
see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's
it's a
always like
sliding
there's like
scale.
always like a pool of around 4,000, and it's arbitrary, but it's still just like a perspective, right? It's like. So my thing, walking around in the world, and the other one I love is like walk around like there's 5,000 ancestors behind you, because they are, like, you know, your guardian angels, your loved ones that are helping you from the spirit realm, that kind of, like, you walk around like 5,000 of your ancient ancestors are like got your back, like making sure that car like stops, the guy in that car that's gonna run that red light texting just like looks up and like happens to stop and doesn't hit you, right? Like, man, you start thinking like, dang, and you can even just say God, you know, like God's really looking out. You really walk around like someone's got your back from a level that you can't see. That changes the way that you move. When you're walking around, like knowing that most of the women that you're like walking by, interacting with, even if they are pretty, like, that's not a 4,000. Like, that's not part of the 4,000. Like, she's not it. Girl at the beach said, like, take a hike. Obviously not a 4,000. You know how I walked away from that interaction? I said, you have a great day. And I walked off like, cool. I didn't even miss a beat, because it's just not, she's not in the group. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, to think that, you know, now you can just bam, bam, bam. Now you can fire from the hip, because you know, kind of like, because you're going to resonate at a certain level. Like,
yeah,
okay.
I just looked at it from a sales perspective. 10 calls to get your deal.
Well, yeah, but it is a numbers.
It's 10 calls per sub, my guy.
It is a numbers game.
It's 10 apps,
you know?
or 5 apps for a sub, 10 calls, or 2 calls for an app. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's just.
No, it's a numbers game.
That's the sales game.
No, it is.
It's baseball, right? How many swings to get a hit?
Yep.
You go out there, you swing 4 times, or you get a couple fouls off, right? Like, just the statistics. You get what is it, like 300 is like a grade batting average?
Yeah, you'll be a millionaire if you can
consistently hit 3 of 10 balls.
Hit 300. Yeah, literally. Like, which is a whole nother conversation. The fact that like you can literally be considered successful failing 7 out of 10 times, like nothing else. Like, you get fired from your job, like kind of thing. Like, if
you
you're
can
not
rank in league with a 40% win rate. Our guest, dude. Our guest. Sorry, dude.
You said to be quiet, Dan.
We just had to call attention to our guest, unfortunately.
Yes, a beautiful breed, love.
But
she's got great wood.
Great wood.
Weird.
Bada boom. But yeah, dude. This weekend sounds like you had a great weekend, dude. Sounds like
I did. It was fine. You know what? Like, because I just see it like this. My philosophy really is, and you just got to live life this way. I mean, I do. Like, it's always a win. You know, like whether I close, like I went on this date, closed with a girl, we had great sex that night. That's a win. She bails on me, she doesn't show, all this stuff. Like, I don't end up hanging, like I win, because it's like, okay, you've escorted your way out of my way. You're not, like, you're obviously not in the group. You're not in the winner circle of 4,000. Like, fine. You know, like, it's just, you know, I either have a great experience with a beautiful girl, or I
Let me ask you
don't have to
something.
worry about any of the repercussions of doing. It's like
Mhm.
it's just a frame, you
What
know.
are you dating for? What is your frame?
Well, I pretty much date and hang out with girls that I feel like I have a really good connection with.
that's like a non-answer. What are you
It's
dating for?
well, I mean, I'm not. If you want the answer of like, am I dating for marriage right now? It's no.
Okay.
Um, I'm
So what is it?
well. I mean, it's primarily,
Enjoyment?
pretty much. I mean, I enjoy women. You know, I really like feminine energy. Like I
Of
like being
course.
around it. It's I just enjoy it. I don't know how else to say it.
Totally.
Um, I think that there is a level of, you know, friendship that I establish
Mm-hmm.
with women,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I don't know if it's like, I think it's probably a combination of like just me being so familiar, like working with women.
Okay.
Um,
Let me
and
ask you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
There's if you were the leader of the tribe, how many women would you take?
Um, that's a really good question. It would, I mean, it would depend. Um, I mean, I've always kind of just felt like any more than three would be crazy.
That's, I
But
guess, like a
like,
decent answer.
like I think anything more than three would be crazy, but
Crazy for you or
crazy for me, like
Okay.
crazy to deal with.
Okay.
But that also is like, you know, how big's a tribe, right? Like, you know, right? Because you could go into
Let me ask you.
like,
Let me ask you a follow up question. Let's say you take three. How many people in the tribe get to have three?
well, this is the thing is women are gonna be with who they want to be with, right? Like this is why you have like these choosing signals. This is why you have hypergamy, right? Like this is why if you listen to anybody in the manosphere, right? Like not even that I necessarily 100% like agree with all of them or would like emulate them. But hypergamous nature of females is actually just it's well documented. I mean, for the most part, they hang out at the finish line and they want the guy who's got the successful business with the boat and this isn't all of them. I'm not saying that. But
And I get that,
you,
but that's not necessarily what I'm asking right now.
well, and you're asking
What I'm asking, what would you do? Right.
would I take from the other men in the tribe?
You see it in chimpanzee tribes, right? You want to talk about like hypergamous relationships, not so much in chimpanzee culture. It happens, but typically what you'll see is at least the chimps who rule the longest are the ones who take one woman and they share the other women with the other apes.
Yeah, that's that.
Right? And they're like the ones that actually like they go around, they like kiss fucking baby chimps. Like literally,
Yeah.
like politicians,
Like literally, like
baby
yeah,
kissing.
literally.
Like,
Oh, I know.
it's
We're
crazy.
not that different.
We're not.
We're
not.
We're literally
When they like
we're
when they
chimps with
when they
microphones.
overuse their resources, they invade on other tribes and take their. It's crazy.
We're
what happens,
we're chimps
right?
with microphones
And so like
and nukes.
this is the way that like kind of like shattered my world a little bit. I remember like these were the conversations I had myself during COVID after my
Right.
breakup. Is like how many if I was the leader of the tribe, how many women would I take?
Well, this is this kind of comes down to and it's a good question, dude. Like that's actually that's a very powerful question. That kind of comes down to like, are you going to? I don't think degeneracy is the right word, but it's like, are you it kind of just comes down to like, like, are you egotistical, or are you the benevolent king? Are you like,
Yeah.
are you the leader of a tribe for the tribe's sake, or are you a leader of the
Right.
tribe because you're a tyrant, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a tyrant's answer, and then there's, so it's
And
like,
yeah.
is three women gonna be like taking away from like, is that going to like cause a detriment like to the tribe? That's something that then you got to consider, like what you're doing.
There's multiple
right?
ways it could potentially too, right? Like I asked, okay, let's say you get 3 women, how many others get 3 women?
Right. Well,
And then does that create?
It's like,
Right.
but this has been going. I mean, there's been kings and people throughout history that have had a lot more than 3.
Totally.
And so, I don't know enough about the inner workings of what happened in those societies, from like a general, like in a wide ranging scope to go like, well, this is what happens.
Let's talk about our society. Let's say you're the leader of the tribe.
Well, I think that there's an abundance in our society, and I also think that it's like,
What are
there's
the ripple effects though?
well, the ripple effects. I mean, I don't really know necessarily about the ripple effect. All I know is that.
I think Tinder's shown us the ripple effect.
In what way?
Well, 88% of men don't get a single message back on Tinder. And
So-
that's including the bottom tier.
But is that? But no, I get it. But is that the men who are getting the women's fault? Is that due to female nature of hypergamy? Like, why are these guys not getting responded to? Like,
There's 2 reasons. It's the men and the women it's the hypergamous women, and it's the men who are willing to take the hypergamous women. Now, we've acknowledged that men have a responsibility on other things in this podcast too.
Right.
And I think that extends to this situation. I think that attractive, high-value men have a duty to society in order to it's called like enforced monogamy, right? And it's like a societally enforced monogamy, and that starts with like us, and that's why I've taken this like change in my dating personality over the last 2 years, and like I don't blame dudes for taking what they can get, because that's kind of like the game of life to a certain degree, but I also don't think we're lions. I also don't think we're animals. I think we're human beings, and I think that we're like above that a little bit. And I think that like we should be able to make decisions absent of like our.
I don't know. We just said that we're pretty damn close to chimps. Like, I don't know how.
Yeah, and I think even chimps don't really do it, right? So if we're better than chimps, like maybe there's something to be said about that.
It's you kind of like. I feel like if that's the case, then you kind of make. I feel like women kind of get the short end of that stick, right? Because there's. I guess it's kind of like a form of. It's like kind of a form of natural selection in a way, right? Like, right? Like hypergamy is kind of like. I guess what is perceived as.
No, I disagree, and this is why. Because the women, this doesn't make women happy either. There's a lot of women that are just like looking for the high value man, and they're never gonna get it because the high value man, like you said, why would you settle?
That's fair.
Why would you settle for the 19?
Why
would you settle for the 19? Right, you're looking for a 25 and up.
This is the Kevin Samuels
and the 19
approach.
Is gonna get to be 40 years old, and her. 14 guy that has stable income that would have taken great care of her and given her family, he doesn't get anybody. She ends up alone. It's bad for everyone.
I could see that. Yeah. That's you know who Kevin Samuels is?
Yeah, he recently passed
just
away.
passed, yeah,
didn't he? R.I.P. Man.
That was
I didn't really consume his content a ton, but I'm familiar with it.
Go back and check it out because he kind of says the same. He became famous over like pretty much grilling women.
Yeah, like putting some.
He would like put women in their
yeah.
place. Like, what makes you think that
that this guy is gonna settle for you at the end of the day?
You're
right.
this old,
and it's such a harsh way to put it, but it really is kind of.
But
it's just
honestly,
the reality of what's happening
in the world we live in the Fugazi land. Like, he's a legend because you know what the world is drunk.
He shined a light on a really big issue in that
The world is
for
drunk,
sure.
and people like him are very sobering.
And he might have been even where I heard it for the first time, but like it wasn't him that I heard like like if you look at the Tinder statistics or the Bumble, like all that stuff, man, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We're talking about 88 or I forgot, I don't know if I have the numbers, like we should just put the link somewhere and I'll find the video.
It is.
But
it is.
it's a crazy number how much women go to the top percentage of men, and then this bottom percentage of women goes to the other X percentage of men, which means that this percentage of men gets 0 messages.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works, because even these girls are bombarded with messages because they got this amount of men sending them to them.
Yeah. Right.
And so these guys, they're fucked. They don't exist.
So I think that's where like a lot of like this is I think why that like the dread of rejection is built into men, because that's always been the case. Like the bottom percentage of the genetic material gets neglected. The hope in this situation, right, is pretty much the entire field of like epigenetics. The fact that you can improve yourself. This is what the Jordan Petersons, the Greg Bradens, Bruce Liptons. I mean anybody even he wouldn't consider it, but like David Goggins, right? Like epigeneticist, what you tell yourself, the action you take, like he's literally transforming. I mean, your genetic code literally can transform. You're
rewiring your neurology.
Yeah, you're not as built into what you are. You're much more connected to the quantum possibilities than you think you are.
Totally.
So, and this is why literally that whole Tinder statistic thing is pretty much the foundation of.
If you're this guy, become this guy.
No, it's not that. It's no, I was gonna say, but it's what is it now? What is it?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. I was on it. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. I was talking about epigenetics.
Become something.
Well, I mean, it's like you. Oh, okay. This is where like kind of my interpretation of the Adam and Eve thing, right, comes into play. Like, why does now I'm like stating that this is just like a type of interpretation, right? Like you can go into this all you want, but I think that there's a reason symbolically, and if it wasn't the original intent, I still kind of see it this way anyway, where there's a reason that Eve comes from the rib of Adam, right? And I feel like women are literally designed, like in the very fabric of their design, are designed to make men better. Because everything men do is reflected we do it for women, and then we also see what we're embodying be reflected in how women treat us. This is why the top percent get the reaction from women that that they do, is because they're masculine. They're obviously, they're, for the most part, not all the time, some people work up to it, but genetically gifted, but they've got the mentality, and the spirit of masculinity is high. And so because they are masculine men, with their shit together, they got a kingdom going on, they're kings, women respond to them. This is why there are no pickup lines. There's nothing you can do to get, literally, two guys can say the same thing in the same context to the same woman, and one who just is more embodying like a masculine presence, big dick energy, right? The one with the more big dick energy is going to get a positive response, and one that is going to get a negative response, because the women are literally just reflecting your own energy back. So this is why the epigenetics, and this is why like the improving yourself thing matters, is because you can get out of that bottom, echelon, right? It takes work, and I feel like today that's a lot bigger than it ever has been.
I think you kind of like proved my point though. You said that some men work up to it. And that
in what way?
You said that they have their kingdom, and some men don't start with, they have to work up to it. And that's kind of proving my point. Men have to work up to it. The motivating thing is the women that they will attain to work up to it. But if we're setting the bar as 10%, 10% of men get all the women. So if you're number 12 percentile, you're kind of fucked. So that's the issue that I'm bringing up, right?
So then your stance is that it is the duty of
the top 10%.
Of the top 10% men to go to basically Kevin Samuels women and go like, you don't belong with me, you belong with
They don't need to say
them.
it. They just need to know it, and they need to act accordingly.
But
it's not their place to put women in their place. It's their place to make decisions accordingly, and the women will make decisions accordingly afterwards.
But based on female nature, they're going to come for the handkerchief,
sure. And you just don't respond because they're not the one. They're not the woman that you long term are looking for.
Right. But if they're dropping the handkerchief, right,
you don't pick it up.
But they're gonna keep dropping it.
Sure, and it's your duty to not pick it up if you're not interested. Not just because it would be fun to have sex with them.
Well,
and that's really what it came down to for me. I get a lot of women that I could probably have sex with, that it would be fun to have sex with them, but like, do I want to date them? No, so I don't. Because I know that they're going to get pair bonded to me, and it's going to affect their ability to pair bond with somebody else, especially when they come to my apartment with my, like, when they come and they see my kingdom, it darkens some of the other dudes' kingdoms.
So,
at least in my mind. You could say that I'm egotistical or whatever, all these things. But
no,
like, I acknowledge the fact that like I don't know if I'm top 10%, but like I'm quality mate enough that like
I don't know if it's egotistical.
Don't have the same things or the same infrastructure.
And I wouldn't say it's egotistical. I wouldn't say that it's like foolish to go like on the other extreme. I guess I'm just not smart enough to know if like that's like something that the indifference like expressing indifference actually fixes, or if it's even possible for to manifest, right? Like,
I think we've
because
expressed a lot of times that women follow men's lead, and I don't think that this would be a scenario.
well, that's what I'm saying.
I don't
It's
think
like,
this would be a scenario that's any different.
like, I think that the only thing that you could do if you wanted to bring that forward would be like do the Kevin Samuels thing, right? Where you're like,
No, I think we need to talk to men about it. I think it's easy to point at women and be like, you need to fall in line and blah, 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 blah. But I honestly think, like, I value men. You guys gotta stop, like, acting like it's a playground out there. Otherwise, none of this is ever gonna be different. We can sit here, we can call, blah, 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 blah. We can fresh and fit this shit all day. But at the end of the day,
well,
we're contributing.
I mean,
We're contributing. And so, like, it's not even like I don't see it as men versus women. I see it as like this is men versus men at this point is the way I look at it. And it's like I can't sit here and tell young men at my gym some of the things that like we would say to them and be out there fucking all the 20-year-old women.
Do you not feel like that there would be some... Do you feel like it would not generate some complacency to not have a... Because basically, I guess what you're advocating is, in a way, taking out the hierarchy, right?
No,
because that's the point of like.
I wouldn't say
hypergamy,
taking
right?
out the hierarchy. I would say evening out the hierarchy.
So, communism for dating.
No, not communism for dating, because I'm not
being
forcing
facetious.
anybody to make any decisions.
Right.
It's more like encouraging men to so
not
here's
explore the
where I see
options.
the issue was, right? Somewhere in our like high school time or something like that, like, you know, this like third wave feminism shit like kind of kicked off like real heavy.
Yeah.
And
I'd say it's about...
it started off with like men are sluts, so let's be sluts too. And I think a better answer was men stop being sluts. A housewife has to find somebody to cheat with. And it's like, it's a hard thing. Like, this is why, like, I think we, like, even understood this in, like, the 60s, but, like, I don't know exactly what happened, but, like, things changed, right? Like, I think it was overly enforced, like, to a way that was, like, borderline, like, oppressive. Like, enforced yeah, like, slut shaming got, like, super oppressive in that sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, men ever bared any responsibility for it. And so that's what really, like, kind of kicked some of this off in a bad direction.
Where do you think the line was drawn from, like, okay, how do I phrase this? Where do you think the line was drawn where the separation of our, like, biological natures started conflicting with society in terms that it now became like it became demonized for men to spread the seed, right? Because keep in mind,
I would say the invention of birth control, because it got rid of the consequences of spreading the seed. You're not spreading your seed. That's bullshit, bro.
right? But that drive is...
It doesn't matter about the drive. It matters about the intent.
The drive's built in,
It
right?
matters about the intent, though. I don't care about biological drive. We're supposed to be better than that.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying, is like, where's the line of, like, when we were supposed to be better than that, right?
There was always consequences for the action, right? And so, like, the idea is, like, if you play, right, you pay to play, right?
Yeah. I think this is kind of an interesting question, right? Because it actually paints a picture of, like, where we're at in society, right? Because
Totally.
you have a very deep. You can't discredit like the drive of. There's things that are deep within you as an organism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that connect us at levels that, we're 99% connected with, you have, it's like, your brain not being developed like how can the brain catch up to a world that's built in the second industrial revolution with hardware that's not adapted?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. You have this, you're literally built to spread the seed, right? And the more higher value men are going to have more options and maybe more of a drive to do that. Now you kind of have this conflict of like, okay, I want to reproduce with every deep down at a level that it's like, you it just requires brutal honesty, like as an animal. Every woman that I think would be a fitting mother, I want to put a baby in. Societally, I know that that's not, and financially,
I don't think that's the truth though.
But it's different for different people, I suppose. But it's like
I don't think like you instinctually want to put a baby in every single woman you've had sex with. I don't think I've instinctually wanted to put a baby in every single woman I've had sex with.
Not that everyone that you've had sex with, but like you definitely see, like, there's definitely, for me, there's multiple that are like, I would have great kid, like this woman looks healthy. I would have a healthy,
like a physically healthy baby.
Yes, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, this is I'm talking from like a primal level, because I don't know if I necessarily agree that we're like totally transcended from our primal nature, and the more that we,
of course we're not. That's why we're like slaves to it. But like,
right,
being a slave to something and giving into that slavery.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying is like, just because I do have that desire, I still have 0 kids, so.
Yeah, but that's because of the invention of birth control. That's not because you're like so tricksy.
Well, because of the invention of birth control, because birth control can exist. If I felt like I lived in a world where it was actually conducive to have those children, then I would be doing it.
Let me say it this way. If without birth control, you would then be spilling your seed, and then you would not be sowing your seed, which would discredit your argument that you're making right now.
I don't get where the...
Well, you're saying that you have this biological want to spread your seed, but that my whole point is that's not what you're doing, and you know that's not what you're doing. The only reason you're doing it is because you're actually void of the consequences of spreading your seed. Otherwise, you would not be making the same choices that you're making because you can't afford to have 7 kids with 7 different women right now. And that's just the reality of life.
Yeah.
So by removing the consequences is why we're in the situation we're in. That's why women can't pair bond the same way, is because they're having sex 7, 8, 9, 10, 100 times by the time they're out of college in some situations. And it's like, how can I expect to pair bond with a woman that has 20 partners? It's just hard. It's more difficult. I recognize that by me having more partners than I can count on my 2 hands, I have affected my ability to pair bond with women, right? And like, it's just it's a fact of our hardware as well that I see. It's like, you remember that analogy they had when we were in high school with the sticky tape? And how the sticky tape got less sticky every time it stuck and unstuck? It's fucking weird, but like, that shit wasn't just propaganda. It had some truth behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I see that being more true for women than men.
From as a emotional guy, it's certainly true for me.
Okay. Do you feel like that was a consistent wear, or did you like just one day kind of go, hey?
I think after being in three 3.5 year long relationships and almost getting married twice and the tape sticks a little less.
Mm,
You know?
mm-hmm.
Just there's a lot. And it makes
Right.
life more difficult to trust and all these things, man. And so that's where I say those experiences aren't just haha fun. Yeah, in those moments, yeah, you can look back and reminisce. Yeah, there's a lot of melancholy or maybe not even melancholy, but actual nostalgia behind it, right? But at the end of the day, there's always at least one person that's a little bit damaged from it, and there could be growth from that damage. But did that need to occur for them to grow? Maybe not necessarily. Maybe there could have been another way.
Yeah, I mean,
That wouldn't have affected their future partner's relationship with them. These are just the things I think about.
no, I mean, they're valid thoughts. They're valid thoughts for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, you definitely are exchanging, energies with people, right? When you're doing that, I mean, you're literally, I mean, you're in them.
And I miss it. I fucking miss it. I haven't had sex in 2 years, My ex was the last person I had sex with after the breakup, but
Yeah.
and so it just it is what it is. And I would love to just go pick up a chick. But one of the things that keeps me from getting into a bad relationship, I think for me, is this thing that I hate to call it a rule that I created for myself, but it's essentially a rule I've created for myself. Now, am I gonna be abstinent until I'm married? Probably not. But I'm waiting to find a pretty cool chick that I can trust before I do it again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, trust in in what way?
Good question. I would say mostly
Because it's almost like, and this happens, I would say that probably comes from a place of a pretty negative experience to say I need a girl I can trust, right?
yeah, totally.
Because I've definitely had interactions with girls that kind of shook my whoa, I didn't and bad behavior and bad behavior is too general, and I don't even manipulation's even kind of a interesting word because I don't feel just conniving behavior.
I'll deal with anything other than abandonment. I'll literally deal with anything other than abandonment. And that's what I'm trying not to do again, right?
So then do you feel like you're the last the most meaningful relationship was you felt abandoned?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
My dad left when I was young, right?
Right.
And then so, all of my relationships since then have I broke up with my high school girlfriend, the Hawaiian girl that I dated in high school. I broke up with her, and that experience was so traumatic for me because she had a dad element too, and so I think I triggered her abandonment and seeing what that did, but she was texting this other guy and stuff, and I could see the writing on the wall. So I just shaved it, right?
Yeah, right.
And but seeing what that did to her was traumatic for me. I've never broken up with somebody since, and every single relationship since then, I just let the relationship continue to boil and boil and boil
devolve
and pressure.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And so it gets pretty bad at the end there, And I think part of it was like I didn't understand what was going on psychologically with my neurology when like moments and fights would occur and I would have that fear of abandonment would be triggering and stuff like that. And I'm a little bit more aware of those things. But it's hard to jump back in, man. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things like, you know, it's interesting, and this maybe is a topic for next time, is it's interesting how our relationships, like specifically to our family members, impact like the psychology of how you go about like selecting partners later in life. And then also like, because one thing that I've probably taken, you know, years to like reestablish and like reclaim is like my own worth, like the worth that I put on my own life from myself.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that a lot of the relationships that you find yourself in, I think especially, you know, in your early 20s and stuff, is they're a result of what you think inherently you deserve. And that's not something that you rationalize. That's a deep, like, subconscious manifestation.
Totally.
And so I think that these period of times do come up where you're like, because I've had that. I mean, when I was, I didn't have sex from like 26 to like for like a year and a half. And that was like my last year of professional baseball, but because I was just going through all that, you know, it was just like, I was like looking back, like it always ended bad, it always ended, like it just, no, I mean, I was like, you know, active, but every relationship ended up with like, basically me groveling, you know?
Totally.
And so that, and again, like we can dive into this, and this should be a topic next time, because this will be a great segue, but it's always like this, and we can come like kind of maybe more prepared, like with maybe some experiences that we're willing to share.
Yeah.
But going basically like even, you know, the dynamic of, you know, you and your mom and your dad goes into like you plugging that into, because
you're reliving those relationships.
I mean, well, you're literally filling another human being with a story that you're telling yourself about them
all over again.
And that story is not original. That story
pulls from somewhere.
All of its elements.
My therapist calls it a script. You're reading the script.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is rewire your neurology and change the script so that way you're not replaying the same play over and over and over again.
Absolutely. So
and that's where going back to the beginning of this podcast where I was like, I have a hard time being attracted to stable women, is because like I have a fiery Latina Peruvian single mother who I was the man of the house at 6 years old. And so like, you know, when I was training wrestling and stuff like that, we used to fight bad. And like a lot of the time we'd end an argument with me running out at like 10:30 at night of the house because like I was about to lose it.
Right.
And going on a run for an hour and coming back and then conflict resolution. And so like those like emotions, like I'm like addicted almost to that that like cycle. And so like there's conflict, like I'll find women that create conflict out of nowhere to get that cycle.
It blew my mind, and it changed my life when I started realizing like how close you are, if this makes sense. Like how close you are to that energy, like at all times.
Totally.
Like, it's like, I mean, it's running off of you. You know what I mean? And I think especially as men dealing with women, just like how you put your penis in, you also put your energy in, and they're gonna literally reciprocate. This is the Eve thing. They're gonna reciprocate back what
putting
you're
in, yeah.
giving. And so,
Insert coin.
yeah,
It's yeah, right. And like
pretty wild, man.
totally. And like my mom, like I love my mom, right? And my mom's really been the one that's pushed me to like take therapy seriously these last 2 years, and it's been super duper helpful.
Nice.
And like at the end of the day, like me and my mom are like working on that relationship, and it still happens, and we don't live together.
Yeah, right.
And so
right.
like it just shows like how deep those scripts really go.
For sure.
My mom being mindful for years,
Yep.
telling me to get mindful. We're both mindful, and we still replay the same shit over and
Yep.
over again.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
we're
you can
working
see-
on it, and that's just life.
Yeah, man.
That's your subconscious. It's strong. It's powerful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's yeah, that's a I want to definitely have more like examples and dig into that
Yeah,
like,
I
as we
think
go
this
forward
is a
because
good. I think this is a good topic, and if we're willing to get this vulnerable about it, both of us, I think it would be helpful for a lot of people.
for
too.
sure I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of people in this day and age just with the way like the dynamic of these generations that are alive right now that resonate with this because there's just a certain dynamic of the way things are playing out. We live in probably the most transformative time in human
Yeah.
history.
Yep.
And so things are not very clear. Relationships are very rocky.
I think a recent poll said 80-something% of people are lonely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So definitely something to keep diving into, because that's but that's where the healing is. That's where the healing is. That's where like, the inspiration to mend those things and to look at them. I always use a word that constantly came up when I would journal is like excavate. Like you have to literally excavate your mind. You have to go in and take a shovel, take a brush, and like move all these things out, look at them, and then go, okay, how relative are my decisions today to these experiences, and do they even, and like, because I can almost guarantee you that it's not really serving you anymore because a
Yeah.
lot of them are survival tactics.
I was gonna say the first thing you need to do is you just got to let all the puzzle pieces fall on the floor first. Like
For sure.
everyone's trying to keep the puzzle together. You just got to let it explode,
It's
and
the,
then you'll figure out what goes together.
It's
again.
I guess to close, it's the analogy of the cabinet, the glass cabinet with the plate with the china bowls that are leaning, and it's like there's no way to fix it
Right.
until you open it, let
And
it
just
fall,
let it
drop,
fall,
and
and-
put some new bowls back in there and close it up.
Totally.
It's like so.
That's just got to break, and you just got to let it fucking happen.
Yeah, man, for sure. So, anyway, I think yeah, we'll definitely dive into that next time.
Totally.
Cool, man. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We really enjoy you.
We really enjoy you.
We enjoy you.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
fucking shoot.
Get put on blast.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you joining us. Okay, I got it. I wanted to say enjoy you again.
You gotta practice these at home. Steve.
Oh, man. Thanks for joining us, guys. If you like that, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, click this shit here. Or there. But probably here. Or here. Love you.